Picture this. A single black flag with a skull and crossbones strikes more fear into hearts than entire armies. For centuries, these maritime outlaws ruled the seas, amassed fortunes that would make billionaires jealous, and created legends that Hollywood still can't stop making movies about. But here's what most people don't realize. The golden age of piracy lasted barely 30 years. Yet somehow these seafaring rebels became immortal in our collective imagination. Today, we're diving deep into the real story behind history's most notorious pirates, separating the treasure-hunting truth from the Hollywood fiction, and discovering how a handful of desperate sailors became the stuff of eternal legend. Let's start with what actually created the golden age of piracy. Picture the early 1700s. European powers are constantly at war, leaving massive power vacuums across the Atlantic. Merchant ships loaded with gold, silver, and exotic goods from the New World are crossing vast, unprotected ocean highways. Meanwhile, thousands of experienced sailors find themselves unemployed when wars end, their naval skills suddenly worthless in peacetime. This perfect storm created opportunity for those willing to take it. The Caribbean became a lawless frontier where fortunes could be made or lost with a single raid. These weren't the cartoon characters we see in movies. These were hardened sailors who understood wind patterns, navigation, and naval warfare better than most official navies. Consider Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, standing over 6 feet tall in an era when most men barely reached 5.5 feet. He deliberately cultivated terror as his primary weapon. Before battle, he would weave hemp into his massive black beard and light it on fire, creating a demonic appearance that often convinced merchant crews to surrender without fighting. But here's the fascinating part. Despite his fearsome reputation, historical records show Blackbeard rarely killed anyone. His genius lay in psychological warfare, not bloodshed. Then there's Bartholomew Roberts, known as Black Bart, who captured over 400 ships in just 4 years. Roberts revolutionized piracy by creating the first pirate code of conduct, establishing democratic principles aboard his ships that wouldn't appear in legitimate governments for decades. His crews voted on major decisions, shared profits equally, and maintained discipline through agreed-upon rules rather than tyranny. But perhaps most intriguing is Anne Bonny, one of the few documented female pirates who shattered every expectation of her time. Born into Irish nobility, she abandoned wealth and social status to sail with Calico Jack Rackham. When their ship was captured, legend says she fought more fiercely than any man aboard, earning respect in a world that offered women virtually no agency. The economics of piracy were staggeringly lucrative. A single successful raid could net crews more money than legitimate sailors earned in several years. Spanish treasure fleets carrying silver from Peru represented floating lottery tickets worth millions in today's currency. Pirates like Henry Morgan accumulated wealth that rivaled European nobility, some eventually purchasing royal pardons and retiring to comfortable lives as respectable plantation owners. However, this golden age contained the seeds of its own destruction. As piracy became more successful, it began threatening the entire Atlantic trade system. European powers realized that uncontrolled piracy could collapse their colonial economies. Britain launched systematic campaigns to eliminate pirate strongholds, offering amnesty to those who surrendered while promising death to those who continued raiding. Though transformation from reality to legend began almost immediately, within decades of the Golden Age's end, writers were already romanticizing pirate stories. Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, published in 1883, established many pirate stereotypes we still recognize today. Cushioned treasure maps marked with X, parrots on shoulders, and pirates speaking in distinctive dialects. Modern archaeology has revealed fascinating truths about actual pirate life. Recent underwater excavations of Blackbeard's ship, Queen Anne's Revenge, uncovered medical instruments, books, and gaming pieces, suggesting these sailors maintained surprisingly sophisticated communities. They weren't just mindless raiders, they were complex societies with their own cultures, laws, and technologies.
Today's pirate mythology serves psychological needs that historical accuracy cannot. These legendary figures represent freedom from social constraints, rebellion against authority, and the romantic notion that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things through courage and cunning. They embody our fantasies about escaping mundane existence for lives of adventure and unlimited possibility. The pirate's greatest treasure wasn't gold or silver. It was immortality in human imagination. 3 centuries later, we're still telling their stories, still fascinated by their defiant independence, and still dreaming about sailing toward distant horizons in search of a home